everybody, let's get the show underway. So welcome to everybody. Today is Tuesday, the 22nd of March. Welcome to the Georgetown Council monthly meeting. In attendance today, we have Councillor Winston Mason, Councillor Chris Barraclough, Deputy Mayor Tim Harris, Councillor Peter Parks, Councillor Greg Dawson, Councillor Heather Barwick, and Councillor Heather Barwick, she won't be using the video stream, but she will be using audio and will raise her hand via the emoticons. Myself, Greg Keyser, Mayor, and we have apologies from Councillor Dean Givens and Councillor Andrew Micheletto today. From the staff side, we have in attendance our General Manager, Shane Power. We have the Manager of Livable and Connected Communities, Megan Bennett. We have the Manager of Corporate Services and Finance, Cheryl Hyde. We have the Manager of Development and Environment, Rex Cassidy. We have an apology from the Manager of Infrastructure and Works, John Heron. We have the Manager of People, Performance and Governance, Kristen Desmond. And we, of course, have our Executive Support and Governance Officer, Louise Dickinson. G'day. All right. First, I'm going to start with our acknowledgements, our country. So the Georgetown Council pays its respect to the traditional and original owners of the land in which we meet, their elders past, present, and emerging, and we pay respect to those that have passed before us and acknowledge today's Tasmanian Aboriginal people who are the custodians of this land. Item 2 pertains to the confirmation of minutes. 2.1 to receive the minutes held from the 22nd of February 2022. Can I call for a mover and a seconder, please? I'll ask one more time. Can I call for a mover and a seconder for item 2.1? We have Councillor Tim Harris, seconded by Councillor Winston Mason. Deputy Mayor?
Nothing to add apart from to receive the minutes.
Thank you. Councillor Mason?
Same here, thank you.
I think I'll put that to a vote straight away. Sorry, before I do that, does anyone have anything to add? Speakers for or against? Questions? There being none, we'll put that to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand or say aye. We have
Aye.
We have everyone. We have a unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, before
Yes.
you go on, I'd like to move from the floor, a motion from the floor, that council reverts back to normal proceedings with face-to-face participation as of the end of March 2022.
Yes, that has already been agreed, Councillor. So it doesn't actually have to be a motion from the floor or from a councillor, since it is under the Emergency Management Act at the Mayor's discretion. And I've already advised the General Manager that we'll be resuming in-person meetings from the 1st of April. So no need for the motion. So we'll move on. Section 3 pertains to late items, and there are none. I'll just give Louise a chance to just catch up in the notes. Okay, late items, there are none. Public question time. And from what I'm seeing, we have no public questions at all received. Is that correct, Louise?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, so we can move straight on. So no public questions. And I note that there are also no questions on notice that we have to procedurally step through either. So that's rather easy.
What's happened to the Beauty Point crew?
Seems like all the questions have been responded to, so that's good.
Okay, that's good.
Section 5 pertains to declarations of interest. So councillors, if anyone has either real or perceived Conflicts of interest, now's the time to mention them. Anyone like to raise their hand for the record? Real or perceived conflicts of interest? There being none, we'll move on. Section 6, the General Manager's declaration is noted. Thank you, Shane. Section 7 pertains to Planning Authority. This month there are nil. Section 8 is the Office of the General Manager. 8.1 pertains to council workshops for the February and March period as detailed.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes,
if you could just remind the deputy to remain in chair, please.
thank you. I'm sorry.
Otherwise, we'll need to record it as being absent from time to time.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Thank you, Shane, and thank you, Deputy. So can I ask for a mover, please, for 8.1 and a seconder? Councillor Parks is our mover. Councillor Mason is our seconder. Thank you. Councillor
Nothing,
Parks.
thanks, Mayor. It's just to receive them. Thanks.
Councillor Mason.
Same, thank you.
Okay, any questions, speakers for or against? There being none, I think we'll put that straight to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Heather. And again, we have a unanimous motion. Thank you. Section 9 pertains to development and the environment, and there again is nil. Section 10 is works and infrastructure, 10.1 being a status update of the Wild Tamar project. There again was a balance of notes attached to the meeting pack in terms of where this progress has progressed to. Councillor Barwick.
Mr. Chairman, I will move to accept this report. If I get a seconder, there is a couple of comments I'd like to make.
So just for point of clarification, so as the mover, are there any amendments or are you going to just move it?
No, just no amendments.
Okay, good. All right. Can I call for a seconder, please? Councillor Barraclough. So we have Councillor Barwick and Councillor Barrett. Councillor Barwick, over to you.
Mr. Chairman, sounds so loud. Is that better? What I would like to say here, I did ask for this report to come through to the council, and I did notice that on the road shows that I've been going to, each area that we've gone to, we address this Wild Tamar project, and in that address it shows you that we're looking at there's rock climbing, there's fishing, there's seal watching, the mountain bikes. And I was very disappointed to read the report that actually doesn't even make comment that these are what council is looking at, that we are taking out to the roadshow. And it said the report actually says nothing as it is written as it is. So I just want to bring it to the attention that while the roadshow is on, it mentions the issues that would be good for our tourism. I don't have a hassle with that, but maybe it should have been in the public agenda as well. Thank you.
So through the chair, Shane, do you want to rebut that statement?
I won't necessarily rebut it. I might just add to that, Mr. Mayor, if you like. So the roadshow presentations talk about some concepts that Wild Tamar presents, but is not limited to in the tourism industry. So on those roadshows, you'll see some ideas around rock climbing, the mountain bike tours, etc., that are presented graphically. What we haven't been able to do in this report is to talk about individual submissions at this stage. Those submissions are in confidence, have not been before council yet, and they are also subject to conversations with the state government who's administering the deed on behalf of Austrade for the Wild Tamar initiative. What I will say to councillors is that the attachment to the report does talk about submissions with the closing date, having returned 8 submissions for activities, including tours, wildlife tours, including seal tours, mountain bike tours, yacht tours, and accommodation and rock climbing.
Good. Well, I think that's then gives a fair context, and I remember the preceding conversation, discussion about the limitations of potentially bringing this to a meeting at this point in time. Councillor Barraclough has seconded. Anything you want to add?
I think Shane's pretty much covered it all. It's only a motion to receive the report.
Good. Now I'll open it to the floor. Councillors, any speakers for, against, or questions? There being none, I'll return it to Councillor Bark if you want to close. It looks like you've just gone on to mute, Councillor Bark.
Beg your pardon.
There you go.
Sorry, no, I will close the debate, but find it interesting that you requested maybe a rebuke of my statement. Thank you.
Correct, thank you. Okay, we'll put that to a vote. All those who would like to accept the report as published, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, again, we have a unanimous motion. Thank you. Section 11 pertains to corporate services and finance. There are
Coffee time.
Councillor Barwick, just note you're not on mute at the moment. Section 12 pertains to livable and connected communities, and 12.1 is a motion pertaining to event sponsorship of a breakfast club at Port Dalrymple School. These community grants, in my experience, tend to be one of the most hotly contested and debated parts of all council business. And despite their relatively small numeric and monetary value, they certainly are impassioned. So as the officer's recommendation at the bottom of page 23 stands, to support the Port Dalrymple School Association sponsorship program as presented, providing $3,000 for the Breakfast Club program. Can I have a mover and a seconder for it as it stands? We have Councillor Parks as our mover and Councillor Mason as our seconder. Councillor Parks.
Thanks, Mayor. Just reflecting on this morning's workshop and the extra information that was supplied by the officer in regards to those that submitted for the application, being the Parents and Friends Association of the school. I'm happy to put this forward to councillors. I know having attended these things before, they're very valuable for the students that attend, not only for those that are socially isolated or have issues being disconnected from the education system, but they really help those students attend in the morning, give them a purpose, give them a social outlet, and help them on a school day, which could be very productive for them. So I'd like to put it councillors to accept the report as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Parks. Councillor Mason. You're on. You've just gone on to mute, Councillor Mason. There we go.
I agree with Councillor Parks. It's $3,000 very well spent. Thank you.
Thank you. On that, I'll open it to the floor. Speakers for, against. I note Councillor Dawson first, then Councillor Harris. Councillor Dawson, to you first.
Yeah, I'm supportive of the motion with, I suppose, one caveat that I think it's incumbent upon council and councillors to assist community to be in a good space. And I think this gives us the opportunity to assist the Port Dalrymple School Association's position to be able to get some school breakfasts up and running again. But I see it as a one-off. I think it's an opportunity for council to fill a gap while hopefully they find ongoing sponsorship, whether that be through industry or the school community themselves. So I'm supportive of it at this time, but under those sort of limitations, I'd say.
Thank you, Councillor Dawson. Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to highlight a paragraph that's here. Due to the low socioeconomic demographic that attend Port Dalrymple School, and so on and so forth, the rest of the paragraph, the town has been designated as the lowest socioeconomic area in Tasmania, and therefore I'd say all schools have the low socioeconomic demographic that Port Dalrymple aren't just privileged to have on their own.
Thank you, Councillor Harris. I'm going to speak to this motion briefly before asking the other councillors whether they want to add in. So I will be supporting this motion, but similar to Councillor Dawson, I will be supporting this once and once only. And it's important to understand the premise and the pretext as to why I'm supporting it. And I do believe that this is a very valuable program. I think that making sure that your children are in the right gear and they are set up for success in their learning so that they can succeed is paramount. But I also think that this is a fundamental requirement of successful education. Now, we do have a federally and state funded education program in this country, which is paid for out of income tax from every participating adult in the country. And I think that it is inappropriate in the long term to add what is a fundamental requirement onto local government, which raises taxes or raises revenue through rates and taxes. So I don't think that this is a long-term thing. Now, we are prepared to have skin in the game, and I would encourage the organisation and the Parents Committee that we will assist them wherever we can to advocate and to find alternative funding streams for the long term. But I don't think that this is really a place where local government should be participating in the fullness of time. And as Councillor Harris has pointed out, we've got multiple educational institutions, 3 in Georgetown. And while it's good that Port Dalrymple has called out the need, and I commend them for that, I think that potentially you open yourself up to funding what is really, as I said, a fundamental requirement for successful education at the behest of your ratepayers. So I will be supporting it, but I'll be supporting this once only. Any other speakers? With that, I'll hand it back to Councillor Barwick. Councillor Barwick's hands up. Yes, Heather?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have read this document. I've looked at this document and I spoke about it at the workshop this morning. Only question and query that I have, I do not believe, to me, it is classified as an event. And I question that if this ever comes back to the table, we need to look at, is it going to be under a grant application or however we address it, but I don't believe we should be addressing it as an event. I would like to point out the fact that it does bring a sour taste to my mouth, actually. We look at, we have the money that we can go up to, which is a $2,000 grant. But again, it's up to this council whose policy can be changed. If it says 2,000, we want to give 5,000. That's up to the council of the day to change our policy without having to tie ourselves down to that. I'm quite happy that the 3,000 has been given over this time. Again, like Councillor Harris says, we have 2 other schools, that may, and I do know have breakfasts that may also want to get some support to do their programs as well. And we need to be very aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barwick. Are there any other speakers? Otherwise, I'll return it to Councillor Parks to close. There being none, over to you, Councillor Parks.
I've nothing really to add, Mayor. Good debate. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you. With that, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
The motion is unanimous. Thank you. Section 13. Did I miss anyone? No, I didn't. Section 13 is pertains to the mayor, and 13.1 being the matters of involvement for the month of the mayor. Can I call for a mover and a seconder, please? We have Councillor Parks as our mover, seconded by Councillor Dawson. Councillor Parks.
Thanks, Mayor. Just one little thing. I wonder if you could shed any light on it all, which is gained a bit of traction in the media lately, is hydrogen discussions, which I see on the 3rd of March. You had some discussions. Any
yes.
thing to add to that debate?
Yes, so it continues to be, there continues to be a lot of background discussion, a lot of background meetings. In fact, yesterday, the general manager and myself attended a federal panel discussion, as well as met with proponents, more proponents that have emerged. So while I can't claim to have a great deal of visibility around anything substantive that has changed with regards to the major 3 proponents who are seemingly hotly contesting the hydrogen manufacturing capacity at Bell Bay, I am still very optimistic that we will have an almost imminent announcement about the hydrogen clusters, and I'm confident that we will be declared as one of Australia's 4 hydrogen cluster zones. So that's about all I can really say at this stage, Councillor Parks. Councillor Dawson.
Yeah, hello. I suppose one thing I just like, I suppose just to be reiterated, was the conversation that you had on Tamer FM on the 24th around Regent Square and those works. I think the more we repeat what was what the outcome was there and how we can get it out to the community would be good. And I suppose that the Labor announcement around our Health and Wellbeing Centre, that was a fantastic one. Yeah, and I suppose we've already discussed a little bit the road shows and how successful they're being at the moment. So,
yeah, thank you, Councillor Dawson. Yeah, I echo your sentiment, and it's always part of the ongoing challenge that you have in local government to try to engage your community whenever you can. There's always going to be a degree of communication challenge with making sure that the entire community is abreast and aware of projects, project status, as well as council's ensuing financial position in trying to prosecute those aggressive projects. So I just want to reaffirm that pretty much everything we have is, for the most part, on track. Our budget position remains soundly firm, and everything is funded at this point in time. So we are in a good space. It's fair to say that we are having some resourcing challenges, which is fine, but that, I think, is indicative of the sector across the whole of Tasmania, and quite frankly, probably across the whole of Australia. Getting both people as well as contractors to timelessly execute the bill of work that you have is a little bit of a head-scratching exercise, but for the most part, we're in good space. And again, Councillor Dawson, it was such a really delightful to meet with Catherine King, the Shadow Minister of Infrastructure, as well as Ross Hart, and to participate in the announcement of the $15 million commitment for our health and wellness facility. I'm extremely excited, and again, I commend you on being the mover of that motion and starting the ball rolling, which I think is quite visionary. And again, I'm just hopeful that we can be successful, and look forward to seeing the other federal parties offer of participation towards that project. Are there any, I'll open that to the councillors. Any further questions? Councillor Barwick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It disappears off the screen.
Yeah.
A question I would like to ask of you, if I may.
Please.
When will the General Manager's annual performance review be coming to the council table?
So we literally are just waiting for the contract to be finalised, at which point our Manager of People Performance, Kristen Desmond, will formulate the motion. So it's in high likelihood that it'll be in the April timeframe. Do you agree with that, Kristen? Yes. Good. So April, let's call it that.
I'm just confirming that Kristen is nodding in agreement.
Good. Thank you. April.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any further questions? None. We'll put that back to Councillor Parks to close.
Oh, good. Thanks, Mayor.
We'll put that to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
And we have a Councillor Dawson. Are you voting for that one? Good. We have a unanimous decision. Thank you. Section 14 pertains to petitions. This month there are nil. Section 15 is notices of motions. Again, there are nil. Section 16, council's questions with or without notice. I'm not aware of any being raised. Here's the previous ones again, and the responses accordingly. So I think we can leave those. Yes, Councillor Barwick has her hands up.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move a question without notice, if I may.
Yes.
And my question is without notice is, can I please have the report on the seniors exercise equipment at the next meeting of this council?
Can I just ask you to just change that ever so slightly, which is once the, and again, I'm only saying this because I'm not entirely aware of the status of that report, but make that report available at the very next meeting following its publication. Would that be acceptable to you?
I don't know that it's publication. I moved it a couple of months ago.
Okay, well, let me ask the General Manager, is that report at this point in
sorry.
time ready?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not in a position to say yes, that has been completed at this point in time. What I can say is that an assessment has been commissioned. I haven't received the results of that assessment to date, but I'm hoping it's not too far off.
So,
and once the assessment is done, more than happy to provide councils with that. Not sure it needs to be in a report format or how you want that distributed, but hopefully the motion or the questions worded as such that can be done. Or
so
just simply answer it.
Councillor Barwick, we can just modify it just ever so slightly, just to say that just make the report in whatever format available as soon as it's been received by the General Manager at the next meeting.
I can't see it all because of your faces on the side. What can you say? Can
I think,
council?
can you see
Louise's chat.
can you see the screen where Louise is typing? She's just
Yeah, now I
modified
can.
it.
Now I can.
And is that acceptable for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has it been received by the general or the seniors? Well, at the next. Soon as, yep. Yes, thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Okay. It's received. Do you know, we don't need to vote on it, so received. Any further questions?
No, thank you.
Good. Okay, we can move on. Council reports in section 17. Fantastic. Section 17.1 is to receive the minutes of the Community Safety Committee from the 1st of February. Can I call for a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Bark and a seconder. Councillor Barraclough. Thank you. Councillor Barwick.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing that I really need to update councillors on, we are still waiting for a motion and a report to come to the Safety Group Committee about security cameras that the General Manager is getting organised for us. So that'll probably come in the next meeting or so. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Barraclough.
Nothing further to add.
Thank you. Any questions for speakers for or against? Councillor Harris.
The security cameras that have been requested by the Safety Committee, where are they actually being installed?
Through the chair, I'm going to put that to Councillor Barwick.
Thank you. Have I got you? Yeah.
Yes.
It was to look at security cameras, which was in the meeting last month. I think the motion was there that was moved by Councillor Barraclough. So I will pass it over to him to talk on the motion that he has put forward now on that.
Okay. Councillor Barraclough, over to you.
Yeah, so we're talking about putting cameras on the entrances to the settlements around Georgetown. There's been a few problems in the past, and we just felt it's to protect the local residences from things happening. That we need a camera at the entrance of all the settlements like Lulworth and and Bell Bay and Beachford, etc.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for regarding the safety group committee minutes? There being none, I'll return it back to Councillor Barwick to close.
Nothing further, thank you.
We'll put that one to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
And again, we have a unanimous decision. Thank you. 17.2 pertains to the Georgetown Placemaking Committee meeting of the 7th of February. And with that, I will ask for a mover and a seconder, please. The mover being Councillor Dawson, the seconder being Councillor Baraka. Councillor Dawson.
No, the motion's only to accept the minutes of the Georgetown Placemaking Committee. We've had some discussion earlier on around how the minutes are worded and how they're captured, and they're certainly verbatim, and at times they're a little bit difficult to read. So we're going to work on that at our next meeting of the Placemaking Committee and see if we can make them just a little bit easier to read.
Well, thank you, Councillor Dawson. Councillor Baraka.
Nothing further to say.
Thank you. Yeah, and I just echo the sentiments of Councillor Dawson. I think if somebody was picking up these minutes, it would just be a little bit hard to follow. So just a little bit more expansive, I think, would just add to the good work that is being done and make it a little bit more obvious and engaging. So thank you. Any further questions? Otherwise, we'll put that one to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried unanimously. All right, section 18 is to move ourselves into closed meeting. 18.1 is
So moved.
moving. Our mover is Councillor Barwick. I'm seconded by Councillor Harris. Okay, we'll put that to a vote immediately. All those in favour of moving to closed session, please raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Councillor Harris, I'm assuming is an aye. Thank you. Time now is 1:32, and I thank members of the gallery or who are listening. We will quickly duck off and do our closed session, and then we will emerge on the other side into open on the recording. So thank you for those who are participating. So Shane, if you can just stop the recording. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I can
Hey.
confirm that recording has recommenced.
Thank you. Okay, and welcome back to all of our viewers and listeners. And so we've just concluded closed session. And now the only remaining act of the day is to call an end to our meeting. And I can declare that the time is now 1:54, and at this point, the meeting is closed. So thank you very much for your attendance, and thanks to the staff as well as our councillors for attending today.